Yeah, your Tayo, how is the situation in Lagos? What's going on?
As usual now, the traffic is killing.
And,
In fact, going out now, you have to program, if you want to use 30 minutes, to program like 2 hours.
wow. So I hear yesterday I spoke
I was supposed to go to Abuja on Friday. My flight, maybe tomorrow I'll get flight to go. After they book me to go.
I was talking to Kennedy yesterday, one of our friends. Was talking about that Festac areas. Somebody I know by friend went there, whether 4 hours or some ridiculous, like the whole day just spent for some.
The truth is that a lot of. Oh, okay.
So we are streaming online. We are on YouTube. Hi everyone. My name is Daya Oyebu, and you are on our platform, Global Naija Forum. And today we are discussing a very important topic. It has to do with participation of Nigerian youths in politics. And joining me as discussants, we have Adetayo Adelaja, Uchi Akulu, Chido Onuma, and Dr. Onibrahima. And we are going to be taking a look at this topic because of the importance and because it's the NSAS protest. But before we go into that, I want us to first of all look at the security situation in Nigeria, with particular reference to the kidnap of the 400 or 300 or 500 kids in Katsina State. Based on the recent report, the latest one, the kids have been released or they have been delivered from their captors. But I just wanted us to look at, this is the third time it's going to happen. I know this is the first time it's happening within this administration, kidnap of school children, but I'm just looking at, what do you guys to say about all this? Because for imagine points at me and taking me push. Contribution, please.
Sorry, we lost you there towards the end, Dayo. Can you?
What I'm saying is
your network bandwidth.
Because important it is. Before we go to, I want us to look at security. You can hear of how kids abduct children, take them as 6 days. Should be really sound.
Network.
Dayo.
Your network is bad, but if we can quickly go on, I think we got an idea of what the question you asked. I hope we can all hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I don't think it's okay to make comparisons or look at statistics. These are human beings we are dealing with. But just to point out that this wasn't the first time. We had the Dapchi school case of the Dapchi school girls a few years ago. Even just yesterday/today, there was another round of kidnapping of students in some Islamic school in the north. I think we should look at this matter, look at the big picture in terms of the general insecurity, whether you're looking at the north, the east, the south, or the western part of the country, within the context of a president who has gone AWOL, within the military that has proven incapable of dealing with the situation, not minding the billions of naira and millions of dollars voted for security. So it's a really hopeless situation, but it kind of fits into the general narrative about Nigeria, and without wanting to sound alarmist, that we are on the threshold of being a failed state if we are not already. Thank you.
Dr. Brahima, you have something to say?
Well, I think I align totally with what Chido just said. It's a sad situation, and I think that, you know, for some, I am worried that some looks like arranged cases. I really do not want to say that, but I think the Katsina State own was just was as if some set of people want to get money from the government at all costs. But we should not look at that way entirely, but because that's the way it looks like. But I don't want to blame. I don't want to group all the things in that category. But for that one, it was as if there were some set of people that were bent on getting money out of the government because they have seen that things are not right security-wise, and you know, it was just some people just took us for a ride, and just like he said, the whole picture looks gloomy, looks like as if it's a failed state. It looks so much like a failed state. I just hope that some way, somehow, would have a change of mindset and just work rather than talk.
But my concern is, how can a group of bandits come into a village or a town, take 400 people? The logistics, I'm just looking at it. It's not something that can happen within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
We're saying the same thing. It looks so.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
This is, in fact, is amazing. When I said it's amazing, is that the logistics of even taking 50 people.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing. Talk less of now seeing hundreds of students. The truth about all of these things is that I'm beginning to have a doubt if this is not a pre-planned work, because there has been a lot of cries that the service chief should be sacked. And I have to be very honest. I found out that if we have, security challenges in the country, and the president is really a general that is having a general as he was before he retired and become the civilian president. No general will sit down and look at the country going the way it is in terms of insecurity. In fact, as a matter of fact, he promised that he will check the insecurity, which is one of the campaign against the former government. But let me say this: imagine 100 even in a hall, how it would be. How were they able to convey such number? So for me, I just felt when I read that thing online and saw the news that something is not, it's missing, that we can't really place our hand on. I don't want to believe, and of course, funnily enough, they were all delivered back.
Yeah.
To me, the Nollywood movie is really a script written, executed, but purely, delivered.
Fully delivered.
My opinion. Do.
Anyway, because when I look at it, I mean, do you put them in a bus? Do you put them inside a trailer? How do you get 400 people out of a place? And within that time, there's not enough detachment. So,
maybe if I can say something, I think basically, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can.
I think, you know, whether this was real or whether, you know, it was a stage managed kidnapping, the most important thing is that, you know, just like Chido mentioned earlier, it points to not just even a failed state, but, you know, a state that has collapsed, a state that does not even exist anymore. And at this point, what I'm personally really concerned about is how this should ginger us to the urgency, to the urgency of the need, you know, for a change, you know, not just a change in the government, but, you know, a change in how the whole leadership system, the whole governance system in Nigeria is being, you know, being managed. Because we seem, when you look at the whole history of Nigeria up to date, we seem just to be coming up with, you know, not just even mediocres, but, you know, with criminals, you know, as leaders. And that has to change. So I would see these kidnapping issues as, you know, how should it be a catalyst to
change,
the necessary change that we need, so that, you know, all this, whether it is really, you know, security issues, and of course there are security issues in Nigeria, you know, but that, you know, in a situation whereby we're even suspecting that it could be a stage managed thing, you know, that means the country has gone to the dogs, and, you know, and, you know, there has to be a drastic and radical change.
Yeah.
Because you saw the issue of leadership, they were particularly the protest.
Yeah, I can't hear you very well. Yeah.
Yeah, is a little bit bad.
Okay, what I said is that we, with particular reference to the NSAS protest, we've angry. Right, they have right to can see, we can have that frustration. What took place when the NSAS protest, but the NSAS protest has become a symbol for a quest for justice, for good governance. That protest started as a protest against the brutality of SARS, but from not just the danger of a uniformed men, Nigerians.
Your audio is really bad. We can't hear you. We're just hearing. So it'll be difficult to respond.
No.
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 Can you hear better?
No.
You can't still hear me very well.
Okay, we can now.
Better
But
now.
when you start speaking, it's choppy, then we can't connect your questions. Maybe if you just make them short, or if, since you appear to be the only one having the audio issue, if you can also quickly just type your question in the comment section, then we'll just respond.
The question, okay, the question I'm asking, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yes.
Let's hope it doesn't cut off.
Okay, the question I'm asking, yes, the question I'm asking is that the youths are angry and they have a right to be.
Yes.
The NSAS protest was not just against police brutality. It was against brutality by armed or uniformed men, which Nigerians face every day.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I say uniformed men, soldiers, Navy men,
Armed forces and the paramilitary.
Federal road safety. I mean, Nigerians are just
you went off there, Dayo. Can you just make the question quick and sharp so we will respond?
I just want us to share our experience with, I mean, this issue of police brutality, really. If you have any.
Well, if I may start, I haven't had any personal experience with the police, maybe partly because I'm in and out of the country, and I haven't known them. I try to avoid them as much as possible. I mean, I've had dealings with state security operative right from many years, my days as a student at the University of Calabar. Basically, it's been arrests in and out of their detention, but no formal like harm or by any physical. It's usually just they detain you, ask you questions. But I understand the psychology of the Nigerian police. I understand, having also worked with them. My time at the EFCC, I worked with a lot of senior police officers. Maybe I can just quickly narrate a story here that will give us an insight into why we face the problem we're facing. A few years ago, I just returned from Canada back to Nigeria to continue work, and I just received this email that some people threatening my life and saying that if I don't pay them some money, that they would come after me. So I discussed it with a few friends of mine, and they say, oh, why don't you just, for whatever it's worth, why don't you report the case to the police? We went to the local police station in the Zone 3 in Abuja, which is in the central part of the city. And when we got there, it was a crazy sight. You just saw these young men in boxers huddled in a corner of not even a cell, like the counter. They were just sitting there. God knows how long they had been sitting there. And this guy took a look at me, and just the usual thing, like once you've been out of the country for a while, you come back, you look a bit different, maybe your skin is a bit lighter and all that.
Right.
And the first question the guy asked me is that, do you live in Nigeria? I said yes, but I just came back to Nigeria. I said, okay, instead of asking me what the problem was, he started praying for me. How is your family? The Lord will protect your wife and children, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is not why I'm here. I'm here to lay a complaint because my life is in danger, supposedly. So when we finished all those niceties, he now said I should bring this. This happened in fact, it's one of the essays in my book, Time to Reclaim Nigeria. I think it happened probably like 12 years ago or so. I'm not sure of the timing, but it was a long time. So the guy said I should bring 1,000 naira. Imagine 1,000 naira 10, 12 years ago. I said, for what? He said, for the file. I said, I could go across the road and buy a Manila file for 50 naira. He said, but that's what we charge here. And I'm like, charge? Is this so? Fela's song just came into my mind, like police station, don't turn to bank. DPO and a bank manager. We argued and argued, and of course, I knew this guy wasn't going to budge, so I just gave him 1,000 naira, and he asked me to write the statement. When I finished, he said, "Okay, let's go and know your place." Again, having worked with the police and known their psychology, I wasn't going to grant him that thing because these guys, once you do this, they are just going to continue to obtain you, to use the popular refrain in Nigeria. So we drove like a distance of about three minutes from the police station to my office, which I was also using as my home then. And the guy said, "Oh, how am I going to get back?" I'm like, "How are you going to get back? I didn't ask you to come with me." And so what I did was to stop like 2 houses before mine. So I parked there and I pretended to be making phone calls to my friend or something. But to cut a long story short, he was asking for money. Then I gave him 500 naira. And he didn't start walking to the police station. He walked to the bakery in front of the next building to us. Obviously, here is a policeman who hadn't eaten all day and they are set loose like dogs on people and they are trying to. So we should appreciate that. But the other story has to do with a senior police officer who was my boss, my immediate boss. I had many of them, commissioners of police, assistant commissioners of police, who were my bosses. But this particular one was my direct boss. He was an assistant commissioner of police then. We went out for lunch one day, and on our way back, we encountered this woman and another friend and some kids in the back of the car. They were driving recklessly. So this officer, we were seated at the back. The office driver was driving, and the police officer cautioned the woman and said, "You guys should be careful the way." And the women just started abusing him because he wasn't dressed like he was in casual clothes. So when he asked his driver to overtake the women, and when we got to the junction, he came out, and all the police officers at the traffic light, they knew him and they started giving him compliments. So he told them to arrest and book the vehicle behind him. So the policemen went inside the vehicle and we drove with them to the closest police station around the area. When they got there, all the officers there stood up, they were saluting this officer. So that was when the women realized that, oh, this one a big man. Oh. So they started begging. So the man said, "Why are you begging me? I didn't arrest you. I only cautioned you the way you were driving, and all you could do was abuse me." So, but the women started begging, "Oh God, this, that." The children started crying. So I told my boss that, "Sir, let's leave them now that they've gone through this. At least they will understand what they did." And so after I pleaded on their behalf, my boss now told the officers at the counter that they should just take their particulars and let them go. So when we walked out on our way to the car, I thanked my boss. He said, "So why are you thanking me?" I said, "Oh, at least the women are free now." And he said, "Chido, do you think those women will leave that place without dropping something?" I said, "Dropping something? I thought the police is your friend." And he looked at me and said, "How can the police be your friend?" So this is coming from both the statement of saying that you think these women would live there without dropping something, and the fact that How can the police be your friend from an assistant commissioner of police? So that just gives you an insight. If that's like the closest interaction I've had the police, but that gives you an insight where we are. Well, again, I don't like doing segmenting the problem of Nigeria, whether it's in education, whether it's in health, whether it's in security. It's part of a general malaise, the complete collapse, as Uche mentioned, of the system. And it will always be better to look at it, holistically if we want to deal with it. Yeah.
Because I had some very serious, terrible in uniform. I remember one time, and the police stopped me.
I can't hear Dayo. Can you guys hear him?
No, his network is very bad.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. It's better now.
I think it also has to do with how you position yourself to your mic.
Are you not using a headphone, Dayo?
I'm using the headphone. I don't know why.
Why?
Okay, so I think the truth is that my experience with the police, is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Microphone.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. There was something I didn't put on. So my experience with the police, one day a policeman stopped me and said, bring out your particulars. I said, okay. Gave him the insurance, gave him the vehicle license, gave him my ID, my driver's license and everything. And funnily, he asked for receipt of purchase. I mean, for a vehicle I've been using for 2 years, you are not supposed to carry that with you anyway. You are not supposed to carry receipt of purchase. So I gave him, fortunately for me, I had it in the car, I gave him. And after looking the receipt of purchase, he said, this receipt of import duty payment, that it is fake. I said, what? He said, the receipt of import duty payment is fake. And he was saying that I must take him to the importer who will go together to the bank to go ascertain the genuineness of that payment. I mean, it took me to the police station and delayed me for hours before he extorted money from me.
Hello? I can't hear you anymore. Hello, can you hear me?
It's frozen.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think his network is not stable.
It's not stable. But can I say one or two things?
Yeah, you can continue, Dayo.
Okay. What I find out in all of our discussion is this. It is not about the issue of police, NSAS or whatever. Chido, you live in Nigeria for some time. If you are comfortable with one thing, the whole system is what I would say. I mean, the whole system have issues.
Yeah, it's broken.
Is it the civil servant? Is it everywhere we have issues?
The system is broken.
For me, as a journalist, over 20 years, I can, if you want me to talk about police brutality, I can say more than 1 million. If I have experienced too much. But whenever I mention I'm a journalist, they are skeptical and they kind of deal with me with. But it's not about, I look at NSAS, which they are talking about. I say, what about NSAS? Let me give you this simple example. When I contested on December 5 for the by-election, I allow myself to live as candidate. I went out as a journalist. This youth that we are looking up or taking over from us doesn't even have PVC. They don't. After going to more than 20 of them that were with me during my campaign, none not even one, have PVC to vote. They were in their house on social media, tweeting on Facebook and all of those things. I kept quiet. I said, you are not going to go and need PVC now. But let me also, I look at them and I said, but you said you want to take away from us. I said, we'll do now. Truly, if the electoral process has been overhauled and is e-voting, these guys may have been able to vote. But you see, from the INEC to police to even school, you want to do exam, and you want to register, you have to register at social centers aided by parents. The parents will ensure they pay that their kids passed through, they had their result at first attempt. They pay teachers. It's not the journalists who take money to do stories, which are my own colleagues. They will have to take money. If you are giving them stories that why do I have to do stories for you for free? So I just look at Nigeria as a whole, not as one. And I said one thing: are we really ready for the change? To contest for House of Assembly in Nigeria and win the existing party, you must have nothing less than maybe 500 million naira minimum. If I have 500 million naira, why should I go and contest? Why should I go for elective post? But you find out that if I give you the breakdown, even on election day, you need about 20 to 30 million naira on election day. The week of election may be spending over 100 million naira. See, it's not about the electoral process. It's not about answers or whatever. Honestly, we don't have what we call structure institution in Nigeria that people can build on. No. And this thing has been age-long. In our university days, we fought the military. We thought we are even doing something for ourselves. When we had democracy, we are glad. We are shouting, hey. But come to think of it, 1999 till this, what has changed? So for me as a person, I look at it that take Nigeria to US, bring the US or UK people to Nigeria, we will spoil the whole thing. Why the Nigeria will change? It's the people. Sincerely, is we, the people, not the leadership anymore. Even when the leadership are the with them, I want to change, there'll be a great problem for the leadership to do anything about the system. The system is what we need to work on. That's the truth.
I will take you up on that because you see, even when we look at what the youths are demanding during the NSAS protests, we want lights, we want this. There are more of infrastructural issues. But we know that our problem is more than infrastructure. In fact, it's very, very foundational. We have the issue of constitution. We have the issue of resource control. We have the issue of rejigging the Nigerian state, that the way it is structured cannot make it work. People have said it that even if you bring an angel to come and be the president of Nigeria, the way Nigeria is presently structured, we can't get equity. So I was hoping that it's like the youth did not understand the fundamental issue with Nigeria. Because if they understood those fundamental issues, those are the things we'll be clamoring for. You know, before this present government came in, they were talking about resource control, federalism, restructuring. Those issues are so foundational. But I don't see all those things feature in this NSAS protest. Because the reason...
Let me cut you short here. And I think Shido will understand a bit what I'm about to talk now. You see, politicians will tell you what they want you to hear and what will favor them. Any government in power, the opposition will, in fact, the best opposition party we had in Nigeria is APC. They are well organized as opposition party. they brought PDP down through well-planned, orchestrated opposition. Forget about whatever they say, the issue has been there for ages. Now, when they came into power, because they built and they all their machinery as opposition, they had no solution. Rather, they are also enmeshed in the same, criticism they brought up. The truth about it is that politicians will tell you this and this and this because they want to win election. They will use the media, which I belong to, paying them. Most of the media are not being paid. That's the reporters. They're not being paid. So when they give them money, they ensure the story is published. The radio, the TV, and all those things you listen to are bought.
But, sorry, Tayo,
Yeah.
not to cut you again. I think the reference Dayo was making to it's the young people, not the political class.
I'm coming.
Okay.
Where I'm going is what you listen to, what you hear, that you will also want to believe. Over time, if I'm telling you lies, you will believe that lie to be the truth. Unfortunately, they also employed people on social media who also worked for them. I was in that category too. What we did was use social media to campaign for a candidate. The youth, you find them mostly on social media. They don't even know how to fact check facts, stories and all of those things. Just give them a story they feel is right. They will take it to the moon. Coming down to this level is that the youths, really, the present day youths doesn't really know. They cannot even confirm. We are much more deeper, more knowledgeable than them. That's the truth. The present day youths are too much in a hurry. Too much in a hurry. In your days in university, we had our looters, but we don't even have the social media to do all what they're doing now. But just said, how can we say, Buhari is dead? Put it on your social media today. In 1 hour, you'll be shocked, the reaction. Go and check the number of the youths that will react to it. They are just too impatient and they're not thorough in their thought, in their actions, and so many other things. And what has been spoiled over the years cannot be repaired in a single day. That we should note.
The question I'm asking also is the fact that youths want to be part of the leadership. But what I'm saying is that do they even understand? Because you are telling us a story about the youths that were working with you during your campaign. They don't even have the PVC. So the change they are the change they are looking for, they are not even paying the price to get it done. So it's very easy for somebody to go on social media and be tweeting.
Let me also say this to you.
And be saying, we want to change, we want this.
My experience again will make you laugh.
Yeah.
The youth started forming political party. They have the same name, National Youth Democratic Party, National Youth Party. About 4 of them, none of them is registered. As I'm telling you today, I can tell you categorically, 1 of them has been deleted. I was with them on all their social platform. They started collecting money. The money brought up issue among them. Eventually, they have to delete one of them. In fact, there was big fight in the platform. I never said the word. I was with them, but I never said P. Not if I was watching them. 2 others are still on. You can go to Facebook, you'll find them there. But find out that people that live inside them, because they don't even have that experience and they're not patient, the political parties have planted people amongst them. People that I know, that I have their number, I have their contacts, I just smile. and they are the people dictating for them. Let me tell you, honestly, forget it, that 2023, the youth will be there. I can say it, and I will start to be collected later. They are not prepared to take over. That's the truth. Because even the parties they are forming, they're not even ready because of leadership. I want to be the president, I want to be this. They're not even ready to form alliance among themselves.
That is very, very true. That's very true. I think the last election, there are so many people that came out and said they want to contest, and everybody wanted to become president. And I was surprised that none of them could form alliances. Why do you all have to be president? Why can't some of you go to House of Assembly? Why can't you go for senatorial seat? Why can't you be a House of Rep member? So you have 10 of, I don't know how many of you young guys that came out, and everybody wants to be president. You are not even known in your state. You are not even known in your local government. And you are not ready to form alliances.
Again,
can I come in, please?
Yeah, so go on, Doctor. Yeah.
Okay. I want to say, with respect to the NSAS protest, that the set of youths that were on the streets, I think they were not, they didn't do any critical examination of the concerns, the issues before joining the protest. For me, I think, just like Adela just said, most of them are not thorough, okay? They don't process things before joining a course. Because everything that happened during that time, you would just be wondering. In my area, for instance, there were some youths on the road. If you saw what they were doing, you'll be wondering, is this a protest or a carnival of some sort? It went beyond protesting for those issues to destroying things, to several other things, several other vices on the road. So, and you know, because of the environment that I come from, I also see it. You know, most of these students are not critical enough. They don't engage you, you know, before they even come to your offices. They are jittery, you know, they can't process things. And so I wonder what they would do if we lay back. So my own concern is, as I'm still a youth anyway, my own concern is, we the older ones, we need to find a way to bridge the gap. I don't know how that is going to happen. I try in my own small space to bring them closer, to engage them. You know, most often most of them cannot engage with you when you want to discuss issues. So what I do is to bring them closer when I have the time to, you know, engage them and, you know, make them see things. You know, some of them, a lecturer will tell you, I cannot take this assignment, and you go and start to cry. Why? You know, it still happens, even at master's level. You know, some of them will just run and come. This person did not. So why? Why don't you just go there? Make a case for yourself. So I think that the problem with the present Nigerian youth is that they lack the critical thinking process. It's not just about education. It's not just about fighting for those things. It's about processing it. This thing I want to do, what is the aim? What is the goal? What do we want to achieve? So that before you join a course, you already know what the benefits are going to be. And that's why the NSAS protest went the way it turned out the way it was. Because most of them that joined were just joining just because they want to be part of it. So I think we also need the older ones who are still youths. We need to find a way to engage our youth critically and begin to educate them. We can't just leave them Okay, we can't leave them the way they are now. We need to find means of engaging them the way we're doing now. We need to have a strategy, all right, in smaller groups, educate them, and for all you know, the politicians are preparing for 2023 already, even with this EndSARS protest.
That's true.
So because most of the things that happened were later politically motivated. And because the youths cannot discern what is and what is not, they fell for it. So I think we need to do a lot more if we really desire the kind of change that we're looking at.
Now, just to take you up on that, because you see, when the youth went with this EndSARS protest, it's like they felt like it's our protest. All the old men, old people, we don't want you to be part of it. We don't want you to be part of it. But when you look at protests that older people have organized, like the Save Nigerian group, and that's the first subsidy protest, the protest for, I think, the issue of Yar'Adua when Jonathan was not given the chance to take over, all those protests went peacefully. Nothing really went amiss. And they achieved the purpose for which they were. But when you look at this EndSARS protest, somebody occupies the road and says that what is demanding for is light 24 hours. It cannot be achieved within 1 day or 2 days or a week or a month. So those things they are demanding for which they are occupying the road for, which I said are not really the foundational issues, because they are still foundational issues. Resource control, the Nigerian constitution that is skewed in a particular way that does not make the country to work, the federalism issue that concentrates so much power in the hand of the president that it has reduced the states to the appendages of the president or of the federal, whereas the reverse should be the case. They are not even fighting over those issues. The issues they even outlined, those are not issues that can be taken or solved in a day, in a week, in a month. And because also, I think the issue of leadership, there was nobody to negotiate with. They didn't have people that we can identify as leaders to even negotiate with. Because even if you are demanding for those things, there must be people that will represent you before the government and negotiate on your behalf. So those are some of the things I saw about the protest. And there needs to be synergy between the older generation and the younger generation, because everybody is suffering the pain. You understand? It reminds me of those days when there used to be protests. The NSC is on strike. NANS will join, and so many other people will join because it's a national protest and it concerns everybody. But in this case, I saw that as lacking. And this has to be part of, just like you said, Dr. Brahima, that there has to be a way of engaging the youths if they are going to eventually participate properly in this process.
Let me quickly add, over time, just to say that I echo what the comments you guys have made. Engagement is key for me, but we should also understand our current reality. We live in a country that has literally made nonsense of being a youth. Young people, some of the things we enjoyed as young people 30, 40 years ago, many of the folks who are the age we were 4 decades ago are struggling to overcome, whether it's in education, in health, all. So you have a young population that's ill-educated, that is struggling with the existential crisis of the country, lack of employment, lack of jobs, social security, and so on. So EndSARS was in response to a particular issue. And that's not to say, I mean, I interact with a lot of young people from across the country, some from an ideological point of view. And I know Nigerian youths know their onions. There are many out there. They may not be popular, they may not be on the streets, but there are a lot of young people. I just edited a book of 60 essays of young Nigerians from different parts of the country, including those in the diaspora. And some of the comments I read, some of the ideas that were put forward in this just tells you that there is hope in this country. There is hope for this country based on these ideas coming from these young people. Perhaps the major tax rest on us, and I blame my generation particularly. We would say we were the golden generation between the generation of the 70s and early 80s of Ali Mongo, Kunle Adepoju and co, and the recent thing, that generation of Babangida Abacha. We did so much, whether it was I don't know whether Uche was still at Uniben when the Alele must go crisis happened.
Yeah.
Then the
And
89
the SAP riots and all.
riots and all that. I remember traveling
Yeah.
from Calabar to come to Benin as a young student there to help, block that main road that leads from the going to Lagos to
The express, the
the express.
because the
So, but you would realize that as a student at the University of Calabar, out of my own money, I could ferry myself to travel to any part just to engage in student struggle. I'm not even talking about the security issue. Existentially, how many people, even as a worker now, can travel from one city to the other? You can't do it. So you're dealing with a generation that is facing monumental tasks, things we took for granted, even though they are lucky they have access to technology and so on. But life is more challenging, it's more difficult now than it was 20, 30 years ago. So if you ask ourselves, and which is one of the major issue that we're discussing among the remnants of the pro-democracy student union NANS, and what happened, we didn't reproduce ourselves. We didn't create a generation to take over from us. By 1999, when politics came, the politicians moved in. We also shied away from politics. The politicians moved in. Once they occupied that space, the next thing was to go to the universities and occupy the space and groom these young people to use them as political thugs and so on. And these young men. So today you see Nan's vehicle, President One, President Two, a NANS officer. I remember as I was vice president of NANS in 1989, one of the three vice presidents of NANS, and the president of NANS and the secretary general were Opeyemi Bamidele and Luke Aganenu, who were students, both law students at the University of Benin. Opeyemi Bamidele is a senator now. Each time I came to Benin, we would all huddle together in a room. They would pull out a mat from under their bed and we'll sleep. We'll sleep on mats. Ogaga Ifowodo, Luke, Opeyemi, we'll sleep in the hostels. Today, you're looking at a NANS president. If you invite him or if he goes to another university, bet me, I can bet you that the university the SUG government will have to cough out money to go and put him in a hotel, in a 3 or 4-star hotel, if not a 5-star hotel to rest. So that commitment is also a reflection of how failed or failing the state. We have a broken country, and this brokenness, if I'm to use the religious thing, has ripple effect in every aspect of our social, political, and economic life. So just to wrap up, the point I'm going to make is that we, the older ones, just as Dr. Buraimo said, have a bounden duty to continue to reach out, get those among these youth who have a feel to understand these issues, who feel they have a need to understand these issues and ready to work. Once we can get them together, they can now lead the process. Because the Nigerian state has so destroyed our psyche that if you just leave it to individual, and you're talking about young people and their understanding. I just read before this meeting started, I just read a report in the Punch newspaper that the Senate Special Panel on Electoral Reform and Constitution is saying that girls who are not up to 18 years old but who are married should be allowed to vote in election. That's the kind of danger we pose. And when the INEC chairman responded to the panel and said, well, we don't think this will fly because it's a constitutional matter, the panel members, the two senators who are like the leading panel members from the North, they were angry with the INEC chairman and said, why should he say that he hasn't even considered it? This is a constitutional matter. First of all, the adult age for voting in Nigeria is 18. The legal marriage age in Nigeria is 18. Yet you have senators of the Federal Republic pushing that if so, this is most likely will affect people in the North or benefit people in the North, where you have young girls being married off at, I mean, it happens in the South as well, but majorly in the North, where you have young girls being married off at the age of 13, 14, 15. But ask yourself, why would senators of the Federal Republic push that? Is that the most important thing, to say that to reduce the voting age for girls who are not up to 18 but are married? They are not even looking at the cultural, economic, and social implication of getting married at that young age, that girls of that age
We seem to have lost Chido. We seem to have lost Chido. Are you hearing him?
Okay,
I think
I can't see him. Okay, I will ask Dr. Brahim about this. How do we get women involved in politics? Because from the look of things, if we get more women involved in politics, I think they have a lot of contribution to make. And most of the time, women see politics as men's affair. So how do we get women? Yes, they see it as men's affair, but funny enough, in these NSAS protests, we had a lot of women or ladies coming out, and participating. So how do we really get, because the truth is that I want to borrow a leaf from the financial sector. Where they found out over the years that women are even better borrowers than men.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Dayo is
Yes, his internet is also hooked.
yes.
So we're just the two people.
Yes, and I think we're even beyond the time now. The time that we're supposed to.
Yes.
This is the final question.
Okay. I think I hope I can continue.
Yeah, just
yeah. I think that we need to encourage more women to come into politics. Why did I say encourage? Because of the kind of society we find ourselves, women are still do I say underprivileged now? You know, most women don't have the financial capacity to go into Nigerian politics. If you know the kind of money that people spend to get to offices in Nigeria, you know that you don't have, women don't have such financial capacity. So we need, if we really need women, if we really want them to be in politics, we have to encourage them. We have to support them. And funnily enough, you find that women belong to the, most women support all of these politicians. And, you know, so I wonder why they don't even take up positions. And the only thing that comes to my mind is because of the financial aspects, you know. So I think that if politicians, current politicians, want more women in politics,
I don't know what happened.
We need to encourage them so that more women can actually be involved.
Okay, I think with that, I think we'll close this session of this our conference. I hope we can get back sometimes later, maybe early in the year, to talk more about certain issues that affect our country. I want to thank every one of you, Chido Onuma, Dr. Onibrahima, Uche Apulu, Tayo Adelaja, thanks so much for sharing these thoughts with us. I will be in contact with you for the next episode. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks,
and
thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
so till we see again.
Putting this together. We hope
thanks,
we have
thanks. Nice meeting you all. It's been a wonderful time. So, Mr. Chido, you are Okwe Mbamidele's friend.
Yeah, so Okwe is, well, I used to be his friend. I don't know if Okwe is